Hey everyone, Boylon here, and you know what day today is. That's right, TGI Friday, because today we got the weekly blog post, and while not as meaty as last week's reveal of Baron Zemo, we do have more specifics to Swarm's exact kit, as they've been pushing him pretty hard lately with Facebook and Twitter posts and all that stuff. Also, we do have another Strike Time video by Cerebro, which I won't go through entirely, but I did watch before this a little bit, so I can kind of point out some of the important things that were in there. Unfortunately, there is no confirmation on whether or not Electro, that's what I meant to say. Electro is actually making this patch or not, who was rumored, or whether or not it's going to be someone else, so we don't know about that. Might just have to wait until patch day. But anyways, without further ado, let's jump on over to the blog post. Okay, and here we have the blog post over on the website. I will put this in the description below if anyone's interested in seeing this and don't know where to find it. It is labeled The Human Hive. They have the date wrong for some reason. It's actually today's August the 14th, but it's labeled as August the 13th. Anyways, so they talk about Doc Ock. There is mention of Doc Ock, and then we have Chaos Theory coming back. The Shuri Legendary event, Chaos Theory. We already had that. Anyways, let's go down to what's important. So Swarm here. So infesting the battlefield next is Swarm, the Human Hive, and while performing a sinister experiment, Fritz von Meyer was engulfed by a stinging swarm of bees. Although he didn't survive the attack, Meyer's consciousness was absorbed into the bees, creating the villain Swarm. His body is composed of millions of bees, which grants him increased strength, along with the ability to change shape and size. So for the Sinister Six, Swarm is a controller who stings enemies with disrupted, drain, and bonus attacks. Much like how a beehive's strength is in its numbers, Swarm's strength lies in his stacks of charge. He gains dodge chance per charge and heals himself each turn with charge. However, when out of charge, Swarm hits himself for big damage. But don't worry, because his Sinister Six leader Doc Ock supplies a bevy of charges to keep this unbelievable controller pollinating the battlefield with destruction. So there is a little bit in the Strike Time video that includes, I wouldn't say it includes Doc Ock's kit in its entirety, but it does make mention to his ultimate move a little bit, and his special and how the summoning works a little bit more. So we're going to go over that a little bit after we go through the blog post, because I did, write some notes down for that, and so we can talk about it. And there's a little bit of animation footage of gameplay in there with Doc Ock and Swarm in there, so we'll take a look at that after as well, which is kind of neat. So let's scroll down a little bit past this. So we do have the traits for him: Villain, City, Bio, Controller, Spider-Verse, Sinister Six. So, of course, more Bio characters. Bio's the new tech from like a year ago. There's so many good Bio characters now in the game. His basic, B-Ball. Attack primary target for damage plus drain. Unfortunately, we don't have the numbers here yet. We'll probably have to wait, I guess, at this point until the patch to have the exact percentages of the number to see how good they really are. Rebound chain to adjacent targets for damage plus applied drain. Hopefully these numbers aren't too bad. If charged, lose one charge. If not charged, attack self for damage. So we'll see as we get to his passive where that comes in. So B Scream, 4/4, so it looks like a turn 1 move. Attack primary target for damage plus apply disrupted. So that's where the disrupt comes. If the primary target has disrupted already, bonus attack for damage plus apply defense down. So I don't know where else he would get it from, unless there's some other characters maybe that do disrupted on top later on. If the primary target has defense down, bonus attack for damage and apply slow. If charged, lose one charge. So again, the same thing. So it looks like all of his attacks has this, if you have charged, lose one charge. Otherwise, you take damage. Ultimate, Be Gone. This looks like a turn 2 move. Attack all enemies for damage plus apply 2 bleed for 2 turns. So that's a lot of bleed. That kind of reminds me of Pyro a little bit. 5 out of 5 is not, or 5 charges isn't 5 energy rather, isn't really that bad. Again, the same thing. If charged, lose one charge. Passive. So he starts with 4 charge. So basically after turn 4 or whatever the case is, that if you don't have Doc Ock, he's going to start damaging himself, which could be a bit of a problem, I guess, if you don't. But Sinister Six is well known for, at least in Alliance War and things like that, for clearing things out pretty quickly. So if you're using them as maybe a war offense team, I could see that as being a thing, and you won't have to worry about that. But any more longer fights, then yeah, you'll probably need Doc Ock, which is where you're going to get the charges from additionally. On turn, if he's charged, heal for this character's max health. We don't know how much that's going to be. And flip 2 negative effects to positive effects. That's pretty cool. Gain dodge chance per charged. Again, we don't really know the numbers here, but it could be like maybe 30% or something like that. Maybe 20%. Who knows? One of your first chances. So there's going to be the event campaign, one of many. and this uses the new Rogue Agent trait, and that's going to be coming in the patch. Probably going to be up for pre-offer, I imagine, as soon as the patch goes live or the servers come back up. And then we can see who's usable for this Rogue Agent trait here. If you're a sort of a mid to late game player, I highly doubt you'll have any problems having the right characters to do this, but we'll have to wait and see. So we'll be able to filter the roster using the Rogue Agents later. So here we talk about the recurring milestones update, and we have getting Emma Frost starting Wednesday, August the 19th. So just like the previous iterations, fights and battles, so basically you're earning Emma Frost shards exactly the same way as you did Symbiote Spider-Man. So that's through the World Warrior, through the payday, the spending gold milestone, and the spending energy. So it's exactly the same. They do mention here, this is important here, that we're going to have 4 weeks to get shards for Emma Frost before it's being taken out and returning later. So if this is the same as it was for Symbiote Spider-Man, it might come back 2 more times over a longer period of time. So we're going to really have to calculate to see how many shards that we can get, assuming it stays the same. If it's the same as the Symbiote Spider-Man milestones, then we kind of have an idea of how many shards we're going to get. Hopefully, because it's only a 100 shard unlock, we should be able to at least get her unlocked, but beyond that, I don't know how many shards, and that will vary depending on your alliance and how much gold you have saved up. So if you haven't saved up gold, then do so now. We have payday around the corner, so make sure you hold on to that if you want to unlock Emma Frost the first go. So we've also added an additional milestone tier and also replaced the 5 T4 ability mats with 8 superior basic catalysts. I guess that's okay. It's not a lot, but I don't know if it's going to make a difference. Anyway, so this, yeah, it starts on August the 19th at 5 p.m. So make sure you're ready for that. And then they talk about this max health percent in raid battles. Now, I don't really... let's go over it here. I think this is to do with how they changed the bars. A lot of people were complaining about the health bars and how they looked in the game and things like that. So there's been an issue regarding raid nodes where upon exiting a battle, a character might lose health points even if the character ended the battle showing full health. This problem would occur with some characters that received some type of max health bonus, even more so if the bonus came from other characters. So this was a little bit of a complaint, I think, in Dark Dimension 3, I think, where there's multiple rhinos in the field and that passive caused other characters to gain and lose hit points. So we'll be updating the game code in the next version to more accurately identify a character's percentage-based max health when ending a battle. And thus having... So it looks like they've acknowledged this problem. This wasn't what I thought it was originally. I thought this was something else. So they have acknowledged this here, that there is a problem, that the players were right about the max health. And this is, I think, largely to do with Dark Dimension 3, but this might be a problem in some of the higher-end Ultima 7 nodes as well. But I think where it's most notable is in Dark Dimension, where characters have a ton of health. So what comes to mind is there is a particular level, I think, I don't remember which node it is, because I've done a lot of them, but Dark Dimension 3 has a bunch of characters, you know, with passives that have max health, and that has been a bit wonky with the other characters when they leave or enter the battlefield. So looks like they're addressing that. And that's all we can hope for, I guess. And so we have Shuri coming back here again. So get that Spider-Verse character, those Spider-Verse or Sinister Six or whoever you're going to use to unlock her. Get them up so that you can unlock Shuri. A great character for raids, great support character, great for Dark Dimension, you know, whatever you need her for, she's really good. So make sure you unlock her if you don't already. Upcoming blitzes, we do have a Miles Blitz. I feel like we've had like a handful of these already. Do we need another one? Anyways, but the one thing to note here is that we do have the Red Skull Blitz coming in on Thursday, so that's good. So if you haven't unlocked Red Skull, you know, if you need to unlock him, then make sure you get it here, because you'll have a chance of getting, you know, 21 plus whatever in the Milestones. So I know some people, especially in my alliance, you know, were just shy of some shards to unlock them. So if you haven't, pick them up here on Thursday. And then we have double shards, of course, for Shield for some reason, because we need that. I guess, you know, working on Iron Man or something, for newer game players, I suppose, but otherwise it's not really a huge deal here at any point. And that's really the end of that, but I do want to make mention of a few things that are in the Strike Time video, which we'll look at here. Okay, so there's a few things particularly in the Strike Time that I want to take a look at here. They bring in this guy, Rick Mayer, later down here when they talk about Sinister Six and Doc Ock. And I just want to move here. I want to show up some of the animations that they have here. Once we jump through, and here. I think this is it here. There we go. So we have this little image here, this little in-game footage here of Doc Ock and Swarm in the background, looking menacing. An AoE damage there. That's his ultimate move, I'm pretty sure. Is that it? I think there's a little bit more here. And yeah, so the summoning animation here. So I did take a look through the video anyways, and just to let you guys know that largely Doc Ock is going to be doing, he's going to be refreshing charges on characters. So as we look through the Swarm kit, that there are going to be other characters that utilize this charge mechanic. And Doc Ock is going to be, I think that's through his special perhaps, and that's what's going to refill the charges on all the characters. So anyone, and then this might include Electro maybe, if he, you know, that sounds plausible, if he is indeed going to be that fourth character that's going to be coming to the patch. And so they talked a little bit in this video about how Doc Ock is going to work technically, and it sounds like Doc Ock has this static list of Sinister Six characters that he can summon. So it goes down the list systematically to check to see if they're in the team, and if they're not, then they get summoned. So in the video, if you watch it on your own time, they do mention that Shocker is the first on the list. That's why we see him being summoned in the video. So he's at the top of the list. So if you don't have Shocker in your team, then it's going to bring down Shocker, and then after that it's going to go down the list, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you have these characters, then if you don't have these characters, they're going to get summoned. Otherwise it skips to the next one and keeps checking your team to see if they have it. So they're not going to be pulling it out of your roster as far as I'm aware. So, you know, this gives a good way for, if you haven't leveled up all the Sinister Six, you can maybe avoid leveling Shocker, for example, because he's going to be the one that gets pulled all the time. And so they also did make mention that I don't think that Swarm is going to be included in this list. I think it's just the original 5 that came to the game. And they also said that in terms of how the character how Doc Ock works, you know, mechanically, that if you have Sinister, for example, on your team and you're using Doc Ock without one of the without the other characters, you know, if you were to use Doc Ock and Sinister together and you were to summon or clone one of the Sinister Six, that's not going to be included. That doesn't matter. So the check happens at the start of the match, and if you don't have said character, then it's going to summon that person in. All we know right now is that Shocker's top of the list. We don't know what the list order is, but I imagine once Doc Ock comes out, we'll find out pretty quickly as people experiment with that. Yeah, so there's a master list. It's going to be Shocker's on the top, so if you want to avoid leveling up Shocker because Doc Ock's going to summon him, then there's your chance there. And honestly, I think that was all the important stuff that was actually in the video in relation to Doc Ock. They did make mention, I think, that it is going to have a focus in war. I believe that's what they said in the video. Otherwise, Doc Ock should have some standalone value on his own, of course, like all the other legendaries do, but we'll have to see what the actual numbers look like in terms of the kit. He's going to be a support character, a city character, so who knows, maybe there's going to be some room for him to be used in Dark Dimension 3 City if you still need it, although the symbiotes are really good themselves, but maybe since he's a tech character, they'll give another way to use your tech resources on someone else if you need to. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen down the line with the game in terms of Dark Dimension 4 and all that, so I'm not going to speculate here at this point, but, you know, I'm looking forward to him coming, and of course, if you need Doc Ock, or if you want to pick up Doc Ock, then you're going to need to make sure that you have X-Force at 5-star. Unfortunately, we don't know where Domino and X-23 is going to be at this point, but we do know that Negasonic is going to be farmable in the new Doom War chapter that's coming out with the patch as well. So keep that in mind when we're talking about Doc Ock, whether or not you have realistic expectations of unlocking him or not. And that's really it for today's blog post. Most of it was just going over Swarm's kit and a bit of Doc Ock some more. From what it sounds like, is that Swarm is going to be quite interesting mechanically, but that charge thing is also a bit of an issue if you don't have Doc Ock, so he might end up killing himself if the battle goes on too long. So I see him being used in war in this way, but of course it won't have any really long-term raid or Dark Dimension viability, unless his drain numbers are really quite huge, but I don't entirely expect this. So I can't wait to actually see the full kits of Doc Ock, though, with the numbers and things like that, and whoever the mystery fourth character is going to be, if it's Electro or someone else, we'll find out pretty soon with the patch coming out, and the data should be made available pretty soon after that as well, usually on msf.gg. Anyways, are you guys excited for Swarm and or Doc Ock, and or I guess at this point Zemo and whoever that fourth might be? I'm not going to make any bad B puns, because honestly, I had zero clue who this guy even was when they announced him, and had to do my own digging after that. I would think that he'd have to be pretty good for a less-known character, but we'll find out when we get the numbers. Anyways, that's all for me for today, and hope everyone enjoys their weekend. And until next time, guys, I'll see y'all later, and of course, stay safe. Oilon signing out.